Good morning, self, infinite, cosmos, ohana. Soul Dr. Nick here. It is March 29th, Saturday, at around 6:50 a.m. First light just before sunrise. New moon today. Apparently, I think an eclipse as well, but I'm not sure. Lots of astrological stuff going on. This is magic mirror work, and got reminded yesterday from my new coach Ellie that mirror work is going to be really important, and getting a full length mirror is going to be really important. Moving in front of it, seeing myself in front of it, seeing life in front of it, actually just practicing. Practicing places of gratitude, finding my own confidence, finding my own flow. So today I'll be getting ready. I've got a breathwork session with dear friend Mike, and so I will have about an hour to prepare right now. And the alarm is going to ring, and I'm going to get ready, get the room ready. And right now, what is it that's important to do? Just be first. Breathe and let go and trust. Really good yesterday being able to see multiple aspects. One is we just had a flowing day. We went to get some plants as a family. My beloved was really excited about that, having lunches with dear friends. And then I had a really amazing nap. And then came back to reality, and we watched Moana 2 and Mufasa today, and Ed Sheeran, and all of them felt much more spiritual than I expected. And I slept through most of Moana 2 and the beginning of Mufasa, and the parts that I caught, I really enjoyed. And it's just recognizing, how do we find life again? How do we become explorers again? How do our origin story start? And then noticing the subtle natures that subtle messages, good versus bad, all righteous, all evil, and that it's already there, that there isn't a redemption arc, so to speak. There's always a redemption arc. There's always a possibility of that. And we're all playing our roles, right? You can't have Mufasa without Scar. And sometimes you want to make Scar bad and villain. Scar is playing his part, Mufasa's playing his part. And this is the part I'm playing right now. I'm playing the part of Soul Dr. Nick. Playing the part of father, brother, husband, lover, son, villain sometimes. Recently I've been reminded of the villain inside of me. Oh, you dropped a bomb on me, Nick, and you just left. It's like, thank you for reminding me of that I have that capacity, that possibility as well. My words, my beingness can burn it. And then can I actually take that and integrate it and be like, how am I burning myself? Because I was burning up after a beautiful spring equinox weekend, working really well, hard, enjoying the work, but then also recognizing the ebb and flow of it. Oh man, afterwards, being like, what am I even here for? What's the purpose? Should I even exist? Am I causing more harm than good? And the self-judgment and the shame that comes out of it. And then looking at even my own founding team, it's like, oh man, I'm being too harsh. And then being reminded by one of the founders, I think you were actually good. And being able to own the subtle layers of myself, going, thank you for saying that. Objectively, good or not, is wonderful to hear. But what really is important is, how does that reflect my subjective? What's going on the inside, and noticing where can I be better. And it's not about perfection, and it is. So perfection has been a big piece for me growing up. And let's come back, let's keep switching things around, because again, I'm reminding myself in this beautiful bright light in the morning, this is magic mirror work. Mirror work is for me by me proving it. Just bring down the heat of this, fireball all the way to the bottom, because essentially you just need the fire to be going. So you don't need to burn hot all around. Here, you gotta fix the crack in the screen, so you don't have to, but I want to. See those reflection artifacts, and because of the crack goes all the way into the camera, in front of the camera lens. Well, I can see a little bit of redness on the edges of the clouds. Kind of cool. I haven't noticed that before. And we saw redness as well in the sky yesterday driving home at night. I don't know what that was, but I imagine some vestige of reflection off the sun brown light and the red light, but I don't know. And then being reminded the red wavelengths of light are so important. And so I think that's part of the first light and everything else that's really important. So the more red light in the eyes. And making a commitment to be out here for someone else. Oh my god, I'm not even wearing the microphone. This is hilarious. So I'm putting on the microphone now. So who knows what was captured, how it was captured, and just letting it go, because if it wasn't, so what? It wasn't that important. And if it was, so what? It is that important. Maybe it isn't. Over and over again, noticing how I think I'm that important. Just looking at myself, looking at the eyes, seeing the asymmetry again, right eye and left eye, seeing that it's closer than it used to be, but notice, there we go. Noticing I can actually just noticing for myself these muscles. Gratitude. So I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom. I feel to heal. Everything is a story. I always have a choice. The only constant is change. Wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing. Today is going to be a wunderbar day. I do what I love and I love what I do. Gratitude for being on this patio, this gazebo that was built by my dear friend Francis. The building caretakers and our landlords who helped us get rid of some of the stuff that we had. The amazingness of being in a penthouse that manifested itself. I always wanted to be in one and now I am in one. And then recognizing the shortcomings, but also loving the shortcomings because they're reminding me and us what we really want. Getting out of the way of my beloved for trying new things like buying plants and all this stuff that I'm like, that's not gonna work out. And then letting go of that because I don't know. She was able to catch fish with her bare hands, which I said was impossible. And over again, she does the impossible. And the impossible can seem impossibly small and minuscule and insignificant to my mind sometimes, and it's super significant. And how many things am I doing and not doing that's getting in the way? And how do I stay in my lane? Because I don't need to limit someone else's possibility, especially when it's not that important to. And then being honest with money, being honest with how things are spent, being honest with the bills, being honest with transfers, all this stuff. Over and over again, I'm going to keep transferring money and changing it right now because I do want to change and transform my own relationship with money, going to gratitude. I have been, was, and probably still am in a certain way in a big state of want. I want more money. I want more freedom. I want more flow. I want more income. I want more clients. I want. From that forward thinking, from that needing, from that lack place. And noticing not good or bad, not just trying to change the language of it and pretend it's not there, and also change the language and pretending it's not there as a practice point. And switching from that into gratitude and noticing how I slip out of gratitude and not good or bad, just noticing it. Oh man, I'm totally in anger and resentment right now. I'm totally in judgment of self. I'm totally in everything is fucked up. I'm totally in the sky is falling. And then reminding myself, every morning we get another layer of sunrise over and over again. I can look at the sky and seeing the pinkness and seeing the brightness of the sunrise because it's just a little bit of slightly bluer skies in the distance. And I can see that and then reminding myself, this is perfect. The sun rises every single day, the sun sets every single day, and I have a chance to reset every single day, every single moment, every single breath. And then when I forget to reset, okay, I've forgotten. And how do we end the nights? What are our favorite things? What else is left unsaid? And then noticing, how do I bring more intimacy, affection, compassion, closeness, hugging, touching, gentleness into my own relationship with myself and with my beloved and my son. And as I do that and hold more space and step from reaction to response or even no response at times, how things shift. And can I be with that?
and I'm being refined over and over again, because the reactions I get from those closest to me reflect those of people who I don't even know. And then it's funny because I can get stronger and stronger reactions to people I don't know, and I'll be like, okay, so now what? I can get rejected, now what? It's when I have the story of rejection from people I love that I'm like, oh my God, I'm being devastated. And that's my own story. Because the people that I love have never, ever truly rejected me. They have their own stuff. I'm just being reminded from my birth portal, man, I got born into a world of grief. And I have compassion for that now. My parents lost a son at 2 months of age before me. They didn't have the supports that I do. They didn't have the awareness that I do now. And they were able to find the strength, the courage, listening to the signs of the universe and the synchronicities, to hear a little noise upstairs, which they took as, this is our son Fabian telling us that it's okay, and desire to actually have another child, and then trying to conceiving me, giving birth to me, even though that giving birth to the heart on the outside is more true than ever, thinking, what if I die? What if I die? What if I die? Having all those monitors on me for the first year of life, running to every single screaming beat, being terrified of it, being terrified of screwing up. I can't even imagine. And the relative neglect my brother might have had, Ivan, for not having the care because they're so focused on me not dying that they may not have been supporting his living, that then translated to sleepless nights and self-sacrifice, self-harm, martyrdom, and then me seeing the eyes of life through the eyes of martyrdom, through the eyes of worry, and then both making that my own pattern and anxiety, and then wanting to reject it completely, going one way and then the other way. And then now practicing integrating it, and practicing that from the standpoint of noticing when I'm reactive or triggered. It's so much easier to blame someone else, especially my beloved, than it is to take radical responsibility and ownership, going, all right, these are some of the patterns that I'm willing to to dissolve, to transmute, to burn up, to go through, to witness. Oh, forgetting this lid here. Don't want that to get too hot, that's for sure. And then putting out the fire a little bit sooner and then putting the lid on is okay. And then today we're going out for some dim sum with my in-laws. And I'm excited about that, actually. I'm excited about some delicious food. I had some instant noodles for the first time in years last night. Years, it feels like. And it was so delicious. So delicious. And I'm grateful for that. I am both on my diet from my naturopath. That is amazing. And I still really need to reach out and leave her a message that in. And I haven't yet, for whatever reasons are there. Thank you for all these people in my life. I have so many supporters, cheerleaders on my team that I just mentioned. Ellie, Elena, even Hella, I know, is on my team. Joni's on my team, like Judy. There's so many people on my team, and I do take them for granted sometimes. And, oh, Canada geese. And then it's just, how do I have compassion for myself, let it go. And this is the thing too, let go of trying to control everything. There's 8 billion people out there, at least, that don't need my control all the time, and they manage to not die. And they manage to live their lives in a certain way. And I will affect the one, or I'll affect the many. And noticing myself creating these videos even, and just letting it go. Letting go, letting it go. And then letting go of feeling my life is being scrutinized in every moment. Like, that's part of it right now. It's funny creating these videos, and they're gonna release in a couple months. That's what my kind of cadence is gonna be for the near future. And then I can just imagine as they're getting released regularly, people will be like, oh, what the fuck is going on? And having the magic mirror work. And so right now I'm just starting to move the hips, because I'm reminded of that from my dear coach, Ellie. I'm like, okay, start moving the hips, start noticing the popping, noticing the slowness. And it's just like my own breath. As I'm listening to, I had a dream about him last night, some of these freedivers, and just noticing the slowness of the breath holds that are possible, shifting from alkalotic to acidotic, and playing those. Those are like your internal hot, cold plunges, whether you're breath holding or your breath flowing with a conscious connected breath. They're like your hot cold plunges and just being able to be aware of them. And I had thousands of hot cold plunges in that sense already now. And then I'm going to play with thousands more hot cold plunges in this lifetime. And it's all these diurnal variations and noticing the body. The body just wants to keep flowing back and forth. And it's just like when I was having this beautiful, profound journey this week with body work and just going backwards and forwards through time, going through the whole cycle of creation, going through the whole remembrance of it all. And it's funny, I'm going to remind some people about that because they keep coming up in my life, the remembrance of it all. I'm like, wow, it is so powerful. And trusting myself to be in the remembrance of it all. And I'm willing to do the work. So that's the piece right now. I'm willing to do the work so that my internal life reflects the external life I'm trying to put out there. Because right now it's like, how do I market not from a place of I've got it all figured out, but I am more figuring it out. I am willing to be with the parts that aren't figured out. And then I'm realizing even if I think I figured it out, I've never figured it out. I figured out the next level I have for me. And I'm doing that as well by doing this school of unlearning. Over and over, I am unlearning. Unlearning patterns, unlearning stories, unlearning truths. And there's a lot of inconvenient truths, like that whole idea of Egypt and the pyramids being tombs, just plain tombs, like giant phallic symbols of people who have such a giant ego that they can control infinite numbers of people, because we still couldn't figure out how their technology could have done it, to create these external surface monuments, not taking into account that every single thing has a purpose, even the angles and the ratios, because we're like, oh, they couldn't even cut things, symmetrically over and over again because they weren't trying to. And that's the funny thing. What are we trying to do? And I'm looking at these buildings, and as they're going up now, we've legitimized that all new builds essentially can use this pressed wood, and this compressed wood with glue and everything else is going to be constantly off-gassing, creating a disease-filled environment, dis-ease-filled environment, both chemically and EMF-wise, and then wondering why we're getting sicker and sicker inside these new homes, which look pretty, but aren't built from a place where people are like, I'm giving something to someone else that I would want for myself. It's as long as I follow the bare basics of the rules, I can justify that I'm not doing bad. And that's the problem with rules versus, not morality, it's power versus force. And I used to think more rules better. And then I really appreciated summer camps. How do we come up with rules together? And there's going to be a place in time where more rules doesn't make more sense. What are the basic rules? And then I'm remembering right now Calvin Ball, like that whole idea of Calvin Hobbes. Calvin Ball is the idea that the rules can keep changing and they're going to constantly change, and we can just keep announcing new rules and the game keeps changing. And that is what life is. The rules keep changing, the game of life keeps changing, but it also doesn't change. The only rule is that there is no rules. Got it. And that's part of it I sometimes see as the universal laws that people are trying to come back to. The universal law is that there is no universal law. It just is. But it doesn't mean that there aren't patterns. It doesn't mean that there aren't things that can feel like universal laws because they span time that goes longer than we can imagine. But even then, does it change? The one to the many. If the laws never change, then how is there change unless the only law is that the only constant is change? Maybe that's what it comes back to. The only constant is change. Which is a paradox then, because it's not constant. And it is constant. Okay. I love that word paradox. Paradox. Doxing. Para. And I want to go parasailing, paragliding at some point in time, flying through the sky. And that feeling of levitation, of flight in this lifetime, I'm really curious about, interested in. And noticing the difference between that kind of flight versus the flight of flying through a plane, flying through an electronic tube. And then reminding myself, okay, there are many different kinds of electronic tubes that are possible. And imagine like Michael Singer flying in a smaller plane. And then also recognizing that there's the idea of how do I minimize the amount of travel that isn't necessary? Because every single time I step into something for travel, whether it's a car, whether it's a plane or anything else like that, there is risk involved. And then if I take a look, there's risks involved in just waking up and stepping out of bed and getting into bed and leaving the door unlocked, not unlocked. Everything is relative risk, and do I want to spend my whole life trying to calculate that and then pretending to calculate it? Because then again, you go to Nassim Taleb, he's like, it's not the things that you think you can see, it's the things you can't see, the black swan events that are really the things controlling. And it's not really controlling things, and they're never really black swan events because they are all predictable in a way because there is order in the chaos and chaos in the order. All right, so just diving into things today and diving into the mind and the swirl right now, and then reminding myself, okay, how do I keep moving energy? Noticing that this is mirror work, noticing this is for me. And so that way I can be like, oh, I'm not fucking things up for anyone else when I take pauses. Or start moving and the camera's moving with me. And it's like, why do you have to move? Just stay still for me. I'm like, oh, I'm just moving a little bit of energy with Qigong. And it's okay. And I'm enjoying this. I love this little gimbal tripod thing where it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep tracking you, following you, noticing you, and seeing myself over and over again. Like she was like, yesterday my coach was like, do you have time for this mirror work? I'm like, hells yeah, I got time for it. That part's not an issue. Because I'm waking up early enough, I'm noticing that I wanna wake up. Today I was tired when I woke up. The dreams were kind of weird, a little bit. Running away from alligators, being cheated out of money and continuously cheated out of money, drugging and knocking each other out to draw out blood or plasma for someone else who needed the donation, and that donation was because they had a matching blood type or something else like that. Listening to Papa Jack Cruz and being reminded that every politician right now, because of incentives, is looking out for themselves for the most part. And how do we shift that? Because we want to remind people, because I think they all came from beautiful origins, but you get caught up in the system. Like, what is the point of the system? And even for myself, right now with the money, it is looking out for myself. And the looking out for self isn't an issue in and of itself, because being selfish and taking care of ourselves is actually really important. It's just how, and at the expense of what, and how do I create both and? I think that's it. It's both and. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do some stuff where it's both and. I'm gonna remind people, ask for what you want. And in the asking for what you want, I can actually choose, can I create that? Can I help to create that? And if I can, great. And if I can't, great. And it's just a choice. Whether I can or I can't is just a choice. And I've forgotten to give Sky a call, and that's important today. I'll stop this in a second, just leave a message. I'll stop this in a second, leave a message. Loving this light. It's a little bit more yellow and golden now, this light. This is the golden hour. What a beautiful golden hour. Moving the tongue through the mouth, feeling the tightness in the head, but also noticing the strength that's coming out of that. And it's a different kind of strength. It's one that I'm not used to developing, and thanking my dear friend Brent again for that. Noticing right now we're doing all this work. I'm doing all this work because I'm building the foundation of my life, my family, the retreats, the work that I want to do, and then building the foundation to be able to come back to center over and over again, and not trying to rush the work. And I'm appreciating some of my other teachers that have shown me, because they're really good at not rushing their own work. And I've been impatient and then noticing how my impatience has led me to where I am and how their patience has led them to where they are. And sometimes it's like, how do I partner with people? How do I create things that are a little bit different whilst also having a signature event, a signature offering to come back to? It's like the tent pole, it's the reminder. And then letting it go. And then what are the things that I have not done to unblock? Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this Drobo. Okay, I'm saying these things. All right, I'm gonna let go of this old digital archive. I'm gonna let my beloved know what I'm planning to do as well, just so she's aware. Because it's that awareness so that she can realize she has choice and she has say in all this as well. And then today, let's leave everything plugged in and see what happens. Let's leave things plugged in and see what happens. Okay. Noticing these muscles that are starting to burn a little bit because I'm doing something different than what I'm usually used to. Okay. All these variations. All this truth, all this untruth. There's untruth in everything that I do, and there's truth in everything that I do. Oh, wow, feeling that popping. Hearing the train that's coming by. So part of this, even in the mirror work, is just continuously noticing and listening. What are the sensations that are coming in? What are the stories that are coming in? Just moving the eye muscles around and just noticing, because there's a piece that can hear when Papa Jack Cruz reminds me, oh my God, like, you know, blocking out UV light, all this stuff can be one of the worst things for your eyes and all the different sensors that are in there. And the thing is, like cataract surgery, putting in a lens that permanently blocks out UV light, how damaging that can be for overall long-term health. Having glasses over the eyes for all those years, which also blocked out UV light, how much challenge that gives and causes. Having been someone who's gone through science experiments from like UV, the invisible killer, and actually winning science projects and awards because of that, and recognizing that it does cause changes, but we're not giving ourselves diurnal variation with it either. We're not changing. That was the issue. We were showing just constant UV light. Yeah, it's going to cause damage and disease because there's supposed to be variation all the time. Every moment of every day, the amount of UV light that we're exposed to varies. And it's that variation that gives us life. Anything that's constant can beat us down. Ah, okay. So then there's the other piece, like constant presence or constant absence. Then there's the other piece of what are the incentives there. There's an incentive to maintain things the way they are, especially if you're in that profession, and not making it good or bad. And am I willing to help myself see better and then guide others to see better? And then so I was just doing some eye exercises there for a moment. My dear teacher before, Yvonne, was teaching me, okay, some of the mudras, some of those exercises for the muscles of the eyes, and then you can heal your vision, you can heal your headaches, you can heal your need for glasses. And I didn't believe it then because I was still stuck on there's a physical deformity and you can't just fix it that way. And then just that possibility, listening to that clear sight vision, that reminder that the tension that we place on the muscles of the eyes especially can obviously change the shape and the angle so easily that if we can actually learn how to change it back, or change it to actually focus in better, or notice that we have the capacity to change at any time, how can our vision improve? And I'm noticing already my vision improving at times. And sometimes it's with medicine or breath or in those spaces, but sometimes it's outside of it completely and just noticing the improvement. And then it's practicing gazing off into the distance, I think especially. Like, I don't think we look off into the distance enough now. We're so focused, so myopic in what's right in front of our eyes because we're looking at screens, everything else. We think it's just reading, it's just consuming, it's just choosing of the options that are so close versus looking off in the distance saying, where's the trajectory? And that's the part of, if you look at the vision of 1,000 years from now, that kind of time span, that kind of horizon, all these current ones dissolve into something simpler, inevitable, changing in that direction. And part of it for me is looking off in the distance now, looking at the sky, seeing the brightness, going all the way to the sun, then everything closer is ridiculously small. Like when we think about it, like if I recycle this or don't recycle this, is that going to change the trajectory of the earth? Not as much as waking myself and others up again to the benefits of the sun. And that's what Papa Jack Kruse is doing. His whole thing is almost the sun, environment, environment. And then enough people moving out of congested, polluted environments can hopefully wake up enough to say, how do we actually change the global environment again? Or actually prevent the closing in on different parts of the globe, which is what's going on right now. We're trying to make it all uniform. It is almost like Trantor in the Foundation series, where we continuously dig deeper and deeper, geo-engineer, create fake skies, fake artificial daylight all the time, then wonder why we're in dis-ease and disease. It's not like we're going to end existence in the same way, but we are going to be mind-controlled, mind-numbingly controlled into an existence that we may not want. And then from that existence, trying to take over the cosmos as well, which isn't helping, but there's a possibility we could try to do that. And then reminding myself, we're not the center of the world. I'm not the center of the world. And I am. I am the creator. When I'm going through those moments, I am the creator of my universe. This is fun. I'm having fun with this. I'm having fun with this craziness. And as you're listening, there could be a part, and I'm just noticing myself, oh my God, is this bipolar? Is this manic? What is going on? And allowing some mania to come through. Because I'm allowing myself to be manic in my to myself, and then being able to come back to pausing, especially when I'm around others. Because not everyone needs to hear this all the time. Most people don't need to hear this any of the time because you're going through your own thing. I am going through my own stuff through this magic mirror work, and I'm allowing myself this space to develop and to grow. And in the midst of this, I'm inviting in the coaches, the DeMartini method, the Star Magic healing, the Papa Jack Kruse learnings and teachings and reading, noticing that there's a part of me still trying to catch up, to be told I'm a good student. I heard today is like, oh my God, like, this guy is a doctor. He should know this already. I'm like, I could feel myself going, oh, how do I say anything? How do I even ask questions? I'm a doctor. I should know this already. It's like, I signed up as that for a reason, both to try to show off, to get credibility right away, and then also from that place of being able to be judged, letting it go. Letting it go. And we're going to step into the forums, step into life, and just trust one step at a time. Just noticing my fire is still going. I'm going to go over there in a second. I'm going to leave some other messages. I'm going to check on the timing. All right, ciao for now.